Imagine this: July 1863. The United States is tearing itself apart. For 2 long, bloody years, the Civil War has raged. In the East, one name has struck fear into the hearts of Union soldiers and filled the Confederacy with hope: Robert E. Lee. His Army of Northern Virginia seems invincible. They've outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outfought every Union general thrown at them. Fresh off a stunning victory at Chancellorsville, Lee decides to go for the knockout blow. He's taking the war north, invading Pennsylvania. His goal: destroy the Union Army on its own turf, shatter Northern morale, and force President Lincoln to sue for peace. It's a high-stakes gamble, the kind of audacious move that has made Lee a legend. But standing in his way is a man who couldn't be more different: George Gordon Meade. Just 3 days before the biggest battle of the war, Meade is given command of the Union's Army of the Potomac. Imagine getting that phone call. He's known as a competent, professional soldier, but also cautious and famously short-tempered. He's not a flashy strategist like Lee. He's an engineer by training, methodical and careful. Now, with almost no time to prepare, he has to stop the seemingly unstoppable Robert E. Lee. The fate of the nation rests on his shoulders. 2 massive armies, over 160,000 men, are stumbling towards a sleepy little crossroads town in Pennsylvania, a place none of them had ever heard of, but a place that would soon be synonymous with American sacrifice: Gettysburg. The battle wasn't supposed to happen here. It started almost by accident on July 1st. Confederate troops marching towards Gettysburg looking for a rumored supply of shoes clashed with Union cavalry. What started as a small skirmish quickly spiraled. Both sides poured reinforcements into the fight. Lee, arriving on the scene, saw an opportunity. He pushed his men forward, and by the end of the day, they had shattered the Union lines, sending them retreating in disarray through the streets of Gettysburg. The rebels were ecstatic. It looked like another classic Lee victory was in the making. But as the battered Union soldiers fell back, they didn't just run. They regrouped on high ground south of town, a series of hills and ridges known as Cemetery Hill and Culp S. Hill. It was a strong defensive position, a natural fortress. Meade arrived late that night, surveyed the new line, and made a crucial decision. He wasn't going to retreat. He told his generals, "We will fight it out here." The stage was set for Day 2. Day 2, July 2nd, was the bloodiest day of the battle. Lee's plan was complex. He wanted to launch a massive, coordinated attack on both flanks of the Union Army simultaneously. His most trusted subordinate, General James Longstreet, was supposed to attack the Union left flank, while another force under General Richard Ewell was to strike the right flank on Culp's Hill. The idea was to stretch the Union Army to its breaking point, but from the start, things went wrong. Longstreet, who disagreed with the plan and wanted to swing around the Union Army instead of attacking it head-on, was slow to get his men into position. The delay gave Meade precious time to shift his troops to meet the threat. When the attack finally came late in the afternoon, it was with savage intensity. The fighting focused on a few key locations that have since become legendary: Little Round Top, Devil's Den, the Wheatfield, and the Peach Orchard. The fighting in the Wheatfield was particularly horrific, a chaotic whirlwind of charges and countercharges that changed hands multiple times. But the most critical fight was for a small, rocky hill called Little Round Top. If the Confederates could take this high ground, they could place their artillery there and rain fire down on the entire Union line. It would have been a disaster for Meade. At the last possible moment, a Union general realized the hill was undefended and rushed troops to the summit. Among them was the 20th Maine, commanded by a former college professor named Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. They arrived just minutes before the Confederates. Outnumbered and running low on ammunition after repelling multiple charges, Chamberlain made a desperate, do-or-die decision. He ordered his men to fix bayonets and charge down the hill. The exhausted and surprised Confederates were completely overwhelmed. The bayonet charge saved Little Round Top, and in doing so, it may have saved the entire Union Army. On the other end of the line, the attack on Culp's Hill also failed to break through. At the end of the day, after hours of brutal close-quarters combat, Meade's line had bent, but it hadn't broken. Lee's grand plan had failed. After 2 days of relentless fighting and horrific casualties, any other general might have called it a day. But not Robert E. Lee. He was convinced that Meade's army was on the verge of collapse. He believed that if he could just land one more powerful blow, right in the center, the whole Union line would crumble. It was an all-or-nothing gamble, and it would go down in history as one of the most famous and tragic military assaults ever. Pickett's charge. Lee tasked General Longstreet once again, but this time, the target was the center of the Union line on Cemetery Ridge. Longstreet was horrified. He pleaded with Lee, arguing that number 12,000 men on Earth could make that attack across a mile of open field, uphill, into the teeth of fortified Union artillery and infantry. But Lee's mind was made up. Around 1 p.m. on July 3rd, the Confederates opened up with the largest artillery bombardment of the war. Over 150 cannons roared to life, trying to soften up the Union defenses. For nearly 2 hours, the earth shook. But the Union artillery chief, General Henry Hunt, was clever. He ordered his guns to cease fire gradually, to trick the Confederates into thinking they had been destroyed. It worked. Believing the path was clear, the order was given. Out of the trees they marched, a magnificent and terrifying sight. Nearly 12,000 Confederates, marching in perfect formation, flags flying, as if on parade. As they crossed that open field, the Union artillery that they thought was silent came back to life with a vengeance. Cannons tore massive holes in the Confederate ranks. Yet, they kept coming. They closed the distance. And then the Union infantry, protected behind a low stone wall, stood up and unleashed a devastating volley of rifle fire. The Confederate line wavered, but a small, brave group under General Lewis Armistead actually broke through the Union defenses, fighting hand-to-hand over the stone wall. For a few frantic moments, it looked like they might succeed, but Union reinforcements rushed to the spot, surrounding and overwhelming the attackers. It was over. The charge was a catastrophic failure. Less than half of the men who made the charge made it back to their own lines. As the shattered remnants stumbled back, Lee rode out to meet them, famously saying, "It is all my fault." The Battle of Gettysburg was over. The cost was staggering. Over 3 days, there were more than 51,000 casualties, making it the deadliest battle of the Civil War. Lee's army was crippled. He had lost a third of his men, and many of his best commanders were killed or wounded. On July 4th, the same day the city of Vicksburg surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant out west, Lee began his sorrowful retreat back to Virginia, his invasion of the North a complete failure. Meade, ever cautious, did not launch a major counterattack to destroy Lee's army, a decision he was heavily criticized for later. But he had accomplished his mission. He had stopped Lee and saved the Union. Gettysburg was the turning point. The Confederacy would never again have the strength to mount a major offensive into the North. The high-water mark of the Confederacy, as it's called, had been reached and turned back. From that point on, it was a long, grinding war of attrition that the South simply could not win. While the war would continue for almost 2 more years, the path to Union victory was paved on those bloody fields in Pennsylvania. The clash between the audacious gambler, Robert E. Lee, and the steady, resolute engineer, George Meade, proved that courage and determination on the defensive could defeat even the most brilliant offensive general. It was a battle that broke the Confederacy's back and ensured that the United States would remain one nation. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more deep dives into pivotal moments in history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you next time.